my name is Byron Fjeld, and I'll be doing my speech today on the 1st Special Service Force. Imagine yourself. The year is 1944. It's dark and it's raining. You have a pack on your back and a rifle in your hands, and you're scaling a sheer cliffside. You hear German voices in the distance, and suddenly gunfire breaks out. These were the men of the 1st Special Service Force, also known as the Devil's Brigade, or as they called themselves, the Force. The Force was comprised of an elite group from the U.S. and Canadian armies. This group was formed from a need from high in the Allied command. They needed a group of men who could fight in all sorts of different conditions. They needed men that could fight from the sea, the air, the land, in winter conditions and harsh environments. They were mostly unknown until after the war ended, as their missions during the war were very secret. They had many different tools that they used to fight. These men had the fighting dagger. This knife was specifically designed for the 1st Special Service Force. It has a pointed blade, so it's easier to remove from the bodies of the German soldiers who they stab, and it has a point on the butt for close hand-to-hand combat for effective striking. They also had the M1941 Johnson light machine gun. This gun was designed for lightweight and heavy firepower. These men could hike for miles with this on their backs and still use it effectively in combat for suppressive fire against the German enemy. The 1st Special Service Force fought in many battles during the war, but among the most famous was at Mount Latafenza. At Mount Latafenza, the U.S. and Allied forces had been trying to take the mountain for months. It was a German fortified position. When the 1st Special Service Force was given the assignment, they flanked the Germans from behind on the side of the mountain with sheer cliffs. No other unit was able to scale these cliffs, but the 1st Special Service Force had the training to do this. They scaled the cliffs at night in the rain and were able to overtake the German position just in 3 days, what other units in the United States and other Allied forces have been trying to do for months. This earned them a fierce reputation in the war. From there, they went on to the Anzio beachhead, where they completed night raids against the German defenses. Oftentimes, they would be deep into enemy territory. Here's where they earned the nickname the Black Devils. As read in a German officer's diary entry, "The Black Devils are all around us, every time we come into line, and we never hear them." This reputation followed them. They also used placards that they would place on the dead German bodies that read in German, "The worst is yet to come." These men fought very hard, and they weren't recognized immediately for their actions. For one, their missions were kept secret, and for another, the things that they had to see during combat, most of them came away with PTSD, which wasn't recognized in that day and age. One of my family members, my wife's grandfather, Forrest Dyer, shown here in the picture and with his uniform here, was in the 1st Special Service Force, but he rarely talked about the things that he did. In fact, I have a letter here for when he tried to receive veterans benefits for nervousness disorder, also known as PTSD, and he was denied, and this was in 1953, years after the war. These men did incredible things and weren't immediately recognized, but in February of 2015, the United States Congress awarded these men with the Congressional Gold Medal for the acts that they completed in the war. Although this is a very small token for the things that these men did in the war, at least they have some recognition now. This force was incredible. They were an 1,800-man force that was responsible for over 12,000 German casualties in the war. The war may have been very different without their presence in the war, so hopefully we can remember these men and continue to honor their sacrifices. Thank you.